Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Dyno here, and so the MapleStory Classic Playtest is in California is happening right now, and I'm gonna be real with you. It looks like the same build, but you guys already know this. There's no big reveal, no surprise systems, no oh my god, everything changed, and yeah, that's disappointing because I feel like we're conditioned by the internet culture that something was bound to happen. But here's the thing: they've already told us that this is the same test build, and a test build doesn't exist to show us the full game. It exists to test specific parts of it. And even though this build feels limited, there are still few things that we're learning, especially from what they're not letting us see. And I keep seeing people say nothing changed, so none of this matters. But I don't agree with that because nothing changed just means that we didn't get any new content, but we did get signals. And in a test build, the signals are sometimes louder than the content itself, like lock systems. So here's the thing that stands out to me is that this build had stuff locked out to it. Quests are locked out, crafting NPCs are locked out, scrolling NPCs are locked. What else? Even maps are locked out. And I don't think that's an accident or an incomplete build thing. That feels intentional. Because if something is blocked off in a playtest, it usually means one of two things. A, it's not ready, or it's ready, but you don't want it to be judged out of context yet. And the second one matters most than the first one. It suggests that they're actively changing systems, that they don't want players to lock in opinions in too early, or which tells me the real changes might not be in obvious places like combat feel. They might be in progression systems, item economy, scrolling, crafting, stuff that shapes the long term server health. So yeah, we can be disappointed it's locked, but at the same time, the lock itself is information. Now, the most interesting small detail in this build to me is the Songs of Solomon item. You get it as a quest reward, supposedly from the level 8 Olaf quest, the one right before you decide your class. The item reward is 500 EXP, and it gives you 10 charges. And so the question is, why is that even there? Because it used to be an EXP gadget system. It's clearly been repurposed, and I can see two possibilities that actually make sense. Option one, it's an anti-overlevel tool and a way to control how people pace through early levels without accidentally blasting too far ahead. Or option two, it's a safety net for players who leave Maple Island early by mistake. Leave under leveled, thinking that they were going to be still a mage at level 8, or just get lost. This lets the game catch you up a little without making early progression feel punishing. And that second one is important because old school Maple was unforgiving in that way. Not hard, just unnecessarily punishing. So if they're adding small safety nets like this, that tells you something more about their version of Classic. They might be trying to keep the vibe, but reduce the dead end pain points. Here's the risk out there, and I think it's fair to say out loud, if there's one version of Songs of Solomon, there could be higher versions. Bigger EXP values, more charges, maybe repeatable access, maybe tied to future quests, events, or system. And if this happens, you can already see where the community panic goes. If this is going to be pay to win, if this is going to be the EXP catch upon thing again, or we're about to relive the dark timeline. But personally, I don't think that's where this is going, at least not based on what we've seen so far. Because the big difference here is it's an in game quest reward. That means it isn't being introduced as the cash shop booster. It's being introduced as part of the world. And as long as it stays that way, controlled, limited, paced, it's not going to be game breaking. Now, will merchants try to monetize anything? Absolutely. Merchants will try to find their way to monopolize air if you let them. That's nothing new. You never saw the Lorax, but the existence of small EXP tools in a quest reward doesn't automatically mean cash shop creep. It just means that they're experimenting with pacing and safety net. And now the other thing people are whispering about is the possible new areas tied to the Forgotten Hollow area, because it's like an extension of Sleepywood essentially with a linear flavor. And I'm torn on this because on one hand, I'm genuinely interested in, is it a lower level new expedition style boss? Is it a PQ with boss activity, that kind of thing that can create community? But my fear is that they do a lazy version. Oh, cool. It's a Balrog, but a different color. If this is supposed to be classic, I don't need a reskin pretending to be a new content. I need it to be, if you're gonna add a new boss area, I want it to actually do something. Create party play, require coordination, give a reason to show up besides raw efficiency. Give me something that feels like early Maple. The last thing I want to cover is quite sneaky. It's the quality of life editions. So there are quality of life editions that are around triggered skills like Final Attack, where the game shows when it's active. And that sounds small, but it's actually a big design signal because once you start surfacing triggers, it implies that they want clearer combat feedback and more readable procs, and possibly more trigger interactions. And that opens the door for something I've been thinking about. What if other classes get trigger synergy? Like imagine Fire Poison Mage in third job. What if Poison Cloud and Explosion had a visible trigger window or bonus? Not saying it's confirmed or anything, but the logic is there. If they're building a system that communicates trigger to the player, that suggests that they're expecting triggers to matter. And that's the kind of thing that doesn't look huge in a demo, but changes how the game feels. So yeah, same build. Disappointing, huh? But it doesn't mean nothing is happening. If anything, the lock system, the repurposed items like Songs of Solomon, the hints of new zones, and the quality of life changes, the triggers, feedback all to the same point and the same thing. They're testing the foundation, they're hiding the controversial parts until they're ready, and they're experimenting with pacing. And without fully knowing and showing what their hand is yet, eh, it's hard to tell what's going on. And I actually prefer that over them dumping everything in a demo and letting the community form permanent opinions off of what's going on or the half finished version. Uh, Let them cook, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you see Songs of Solomon as a harmless safety net or as the first step towards something worse? Do you want Forgotten Hollow to be a real Expedition PQ moment, or do you think it's just going to be a reskin situation? And if you want, I'll do a follow up where we break down the lock system quests, crafting, scrolling, and talk about what changes would actually keep Classic alive long term. If you want, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.